Michael EJ back with another video in the fields of finance, business, and life. And this time around, we're going to look at some sports. We're going to take it from a sports angle, more specifically basketball. That's my favorite sport. Love the NBA. Keep up with it nonstop. And recently a story came out about my hometown team, the Houston Rockets, looking to sell the franchise, change ownership. And why so? I mean, that's what people are asking. I'm here to argue that this is the perfect time to sell because you can get a lot more than what you think for the Rockets today. Now let's paint a little bit of background here. Leslie Alexander, Wall Street titan, did some trading, started his own firm. He bought the Houston Rockets back in 1993 for just $85 million. $85 million. And today, according to Forbes, the Rockets are worth $1.65 billion. That's more than 19 times difference from what Leslie bought it for. And hey, he bought it at the perfect time. They were doing great at that time. He saw the potential in Hakeem Olajuwon. He saw the potential in the city. The Rockets went on to win 1994-1995 NBA championships. I mean, it was great. It was just smooth sailing from there. But at 73, looks like good old Alexander here is looking to calm down his life. I mean, he forever fought with the NHL trying to get a team to Houston, and that didn't really pan out. He's also put up a couple of his houses for sale, a couple of million each. And he's even said it himself. You know, owning an NBA team can wear on you after so many decades. I mean, just constantly in the media, constantly have to worry about different things. And all these things add up. And from a stability standpoint, having an all-star NBA player there, well, two now, as well as having a management team that you believe in, you know, it just makes perfect sense to get out right now. Now, we're going to look at things from a valuation perspective because although they're worth about $1.7 billion, I think the Rockets can be sold for $3 billion, maybe even $4 billion. Call me crazy, but I'll tell you why. First, let's look at things from what drives the valuation of an NBA franchise. What kind of goes into that value, what it's worth? According to Forbes, I'm going from their methodology here, there's 4 key sources. There's the sports revenues itself that's shared amongst all of the NBA teams. There's local market size, you know, how big is the market you're in terms of the city. There's the arena, you know, are you adding anything to the arena? Is it really nice? Does it need to step its game up? And there's the brand. And that all 4 combined creates the franchise value. Now, of these 4 sources, I believe there's 3 drivers of these, all 4. If you work on these 3, it affects all of them. First thing is, you know, what's the health of the local economy? I mean, this isn't necessarily in the team's power. They can't really change anything, but hey, since, you know, the oil companies have hit rock bottom in 2015, early 2016, the Houston economy is on the uptrend. Things are looking on the up and up. I mean, there's a lot of growth coming, not just from energy. Energy is stabilizing. The energy sector is stabilizing there in Houston. But it's not just there. Professional services, transportation, manufacturing, healthcare, the medical district. According to the Houston Purchasing Managers Index, things are very expansionary. Everything is there's more optimism in the air in terms of just what's going on in the economy in general. And the housing market is thriving. There's a lot of sales of houses going on. And, well, it's not going on because things are bad. It's going on because things are happening so well. Things are going well overall in the economy. And it's been, I mean, if you really take a step back since the Great Recession, it's been doing well. I mean, this institute called Brookings, they've looked at things since that time in Houston, amongst all the major metropolitan areas, they've done the best. I mean, they've grown more and more people have prospered. Yeah, not a lot of, it's not spread out amongst everybody, you know, so in a way, the rich does get richer and the poor gets poorer. I mean, that's part of a capitalistic society. But overall, we're doing better than a lot of places that you and I know, and then they're bigger than us. So, first off, in terms of health of the local economy, Houston's doing just fine, better than most. Second, we got if you have a championship caliber team today, one thing that caught my attention was the valuation of the Golden State Warriors. If you look back 2-3 years ago, it's around $1 billion. You know, it's around there. Now it's at $2.6 billion. What happened? They got a team that went to the finals 3 years in a row, had 73 wins, NBA record, won 2 championships. They've also made improvements to their stadium. I mean, the Oracle Arena, which, I mean, that matters too. But let's be honest here. A lot of that's driven by, because a lot of people come to the games because the team's great. Now, the addition of Chris Paul recently just doubled the odds for the Rockets winning the championship, at least this season. Now, it's still a foregone, well, I won't say foregone conclusion, but it's still highly unlikely because the Golden State Warriors are there in the West, and you can make a case that the San Antonio Spurs are still better. I can't argue the other way around. Depending on how the season goes, the Rockets might be the second best team in the West. And who knows, an injury happens, KD is slender, you never know. Things could happen. Rockets somehow win or lose. If they make it to the finals, it will boost their valuation and make the team more interesting. And having Daryl Morey there is a big deal because he's shown to be very aggressive in trying to make the team better, which is what you want. You want a championship caliber team because having a championship legacy really does add to the value of a lot of these teams, as you will see later on in this presentation. Speaking of legacy, not just having a championship team today, but also having that kind of as your history matters. And yes, the Rockets have won 2 championships, but 20 plus years ago, and some people think they're fluky just because Jordan wasn't in the league at those times, or he came back late in 1995. I still argue that no matter who 1994, if Jordan was back or not, the Rockets would have beat him. You can fight me on that argument if you want, but that's my opinion, which is why those teams are so great to me. But to majority of people, the Rockets don't have that championship history. They have a different history, though. It's China. They got China. Thanks to Yao Ming. They draft Yao Ming, was in the 2002 NBA draft, I want to say 2002, 2003. It brought the Chinese market. And what's the most popular team in China today? The Houston Rockets. That is a unique opportunity because as China continues to grow and thrive, and especially their basketball culture there continues to grow and thrive as it is today, the Rockets can just more and more benefit from that. Now, like I said before, I think the Rockets, the franchise, can sell for somewhere between $3 to $4 billion. With a B, $3 to $4 billion, which is about double, if not more, with their worth today, according to Forbes. So here's why. First off, I think they're undervalued today. If you look at the top 5 valuations of these teams, so you got the Knicks, you got the Lakers, Warriors, Bulls, Celtics, and you look at how their valuation breaks down compared to the Rockets, I mean, some of these things aren't surprising, especially if you take cost of living into consideration, and the success of these teams. So, for example, the Lakers, here they have the lowest sports revenues in terms of valuation, but look at the team. Over the past couple of years, it's been kind of sucky. Let's just be honest. And I'm a Lakers fan. I like the Lakers. But I think that the local market is getting undervalued here. I think based on that past analysis, what's going on in the local economy, things are better in Houston than they are in Boston, maybe Chicago, maybe in San Francisco. I mean, the growth potential is higher here. And yes, I also understand a lot of this is, like I mentioned before, cost of living adjustments. But overall, I do think that the Houston Rockets are being shortchanged in terms of their local market potential a little bit as well. As you all know, I'm a big I'm kind of the creator of the PVGO framework for valuing companies based on growth potential. And I took where they're at now, based on 5-year average profitability and a discount rate of 9%. Got there because last year the average growth of value over all these teams were 8%. They're using a metric called EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, as in gross cash. How much cash are you bringing overall before considering anything else? It's a tricky metric. I don't always believe in it, so I increased it all the way up to 10% and then brought it back down to 9% because Rockets Houston's one of the bigger cities. So just based off of that, just based off of size. So got that 9%, no growth value, worth around $600 million, based on where they're at, what they're worth today. It's about 64% PVGO percentage, which over a 5-year period would be a problem. Over a 20-year period, it's just fine. In my other video about NBA valuations, I showed that, on average, these PVGO percentages are about 75%. And that's perfectly fine over a 20-year period. Like, you're not buying a franchise and looking to flip it overnight. You're buying it and looking to hold on forever. Well, almost forever. You just take Leslie Alexander here. He held on for almost 25 years. You're looking to hold it for a while. So over the long term, makes perfect sense. And just based on that little adjustment, I think they're undervalued there. Increase what I think the PVGO percentage should be, about 70%. It brings the valuation of the Houston Rockets today closer to $2 billion. That's just an opinion. That's where I think they should be at today. Now, premise 2. The price of $3 to $4 billion is justified by past transactions. Since 2012, 6 teams have changed ownership. Got the Pelicans, the Grizzlies, Kings, Bucks, Clippers. We all know about the Clippers, and the Hawks. And all have paid above what they were worth, according to Forbes, at that time. And, of course, the Clippers was an interesting situation, and Steve Ballmer paid way over what they were worth. So, I get that, but on average, if you include it, most of these teams most of these ownership, when it changes hands, they're paying twice of what Forbes think they're worth, on average. And they're also getting, at least in terms of the valuation of the franchises, they're recouping the value in a short amount of time. A lot of them in 2 to 3 years' time. Now, part of this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Forbes methodology kind of includes past transactions. And, for example, the LA Clippers, last year they were worth $2 billion. And this year they're worth the same. Like, they didn't increase value, at least according to Forbes. But that's partly because, they bought for $600 million. The next year, Forbes increased the value to about 1.4, and now they increased to 2. Self-fulfilling prophecy, like I mentioned. It's similar to an M&A deal on the stock market. Take Amazon and Whole Foods. As soon as Amazon announced Whole Foods, they were about to buy them, and they at a certain price, Whole Foods stock price shot up close to that price. It's that self-fulfilling prophecy thing. So, yeah, from that perspective, it's going to be worth, 3 to 4 billion, whatever you paid for it, pretty soon, 2-3 years just from their methodology. Well, let's say you go from a overall, intrinsic value way of looking at things. Over the next 5 years, you still should get your value, the value back based on, I believe, high growth from the local market, from Houston itself, and the potential Houston has. And it's probably going to be higher than any other market that any other NBA city's in. And over the 20-year span, Rockets can easily be worth 10, 12, $15 billion. Think about it. It's tough to really comprehend, but Nestle bought it at $85 million, and it's at $1.65 billion today, 19 times difference. What's to say over 20 years, the value goes from 1.7 to 17, 10 times over a 20-year span? I think it's highly possible. Highly possible. I'm thinking of worst case scenario here, $10 billion. And it's an okay return. It's not the greatest, but it's all right. But at $10 billion, I bet you 20 years from now, you could probably sell it for 12 or 15. I mean, I'm just saying, there's different ways to think about these things. So, yeah, based on higher rate of returns and based on what I think the value of the franchise is today, it makes perfect sense for Leslie wanting to get out at this moment. I mean, the future looks bright for the franchise in a lot of ways in terms of valuation. I also know he doesn't want to pay the luxury tax. What owner does? And whoever buys it, I will say that is one downside. Whatever owner buys the Rockets, they will have to worry about the luxury tax issue. You don't have star power isn't free. It ain't cheap. So you got that to worry about. Also, no real way to really boost the valuation that's in your control, at least for the Rockets. I mean, a lot of these valuations, you can boost it based on improving the arena, making the arena look nicer. Or you can boost it on maybe charging higher prices at the gate. And I think the Rockets can do that. But, unless the gambling thing works out for the whole NBA in general, revenue is going to be, they're not going to skyrocket, but they'll grow. And the other way to keep them growing is if your team continues to be in the playoffs. If your team plays deep into the playoffs, you receive more. So, hey, that's why a championship caliber team matters. But yeah, overall, this is a great time to get out. Leslie wants to minimize his life, and over 20 plus years, this works out. So thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, concerns, let me know if you think I'm just blowing smoke here. Can you see the Rockets being sold for $3 to $4 billion? I can. So whatever other questions you got for me, if you want me to look at any of the companies, any other businesses, any business ideas, mainly talk investment and finance strategy here, but hey, this is something that caught my attention and is near and dear to my heart. So until the next time, peace.